Greetings of the day. My name is C.A. Devesh, Chartered Accountant. I will be briefing you about careers as Chartered Accountants. The Institute of Chartered Accountants of India (ICAI) manages the CA course. An Act of Parliament has established ICAI. Before moving forward in India, new education policy is about to get implemented. Following the lines of NEP, ICAI is also revamping its course, which is expected to be launched next year. Till the new NEP-based CA course is about to get implemented, the existing course will apply. However, at a later stage, students will get an option to shift from the existing to the new course. In this video, we will discuss upon eligibility, various stages of CA course, opportunities for CA, qualifications. After qualifying CA, plethora of opportunities are there. Just like doctors have their clinics and take care of private patients in the same way, CAs can set up their own offices whereby they will provide services to their clients. CAs can provide services in accountancy, auditing, finance, consultancy, etc. CAs with a strong legal aptitude making them a perfect fit to provide services in some laws like GST, income tax, RERA, etc. Many job opportunities are there for chartered accountants. Private and government sectors can recruit CAs. Every sector of the economy requires chartered accountants. CA is recognized globally. A chartered accountant can analyze any business or an idea from diverse angles, thus making them a perfect professional to launch their own enterprise. Investing in stock market is also a good option for CA, as CAs can analyze the balance sheet along with the economy. Campus placements of ICAI. As per statistics of September to October 21, of campus placements of ICAI, the highest international salary was 32.22 lakhs per annum, while the highest domestic salary was 22.98 lakhs, while the average domestic earning was 10.33 lakhs per annum. Moving ahead to the next part of the presentation, that is, various stages of the CA course. The CA course has 3 stages. The CA Foundation is the first stage, followed by the stage 2, that is CA Intermediate. CA Final is the last stage. However, there is a direct entry to stage 2, that is CA Intermediate, for the following students. Commerce graduates with a minimum of 55% marks in graduation. Non-commerce students with 60% marks in graduation. Students who have qualified all examinations of Company Secretary or Cost and Management Accounts (CMN). As per recent guidelines of the Union Grant Commission (UGC), if a student has completed the second stage, that is CA Intermediate, his or her qualifications will be equal to that of a graduate. And if a student has cleared the CA final examination, his or her qualifications will be equivalent to that of a postgraduate. As CA course has 3 stages, the CA Foundation has 4 papers. Stage 2, CA Intermediate stage is divided into 2 groups of 4 subjects each, thereby making it 8 papers in stage 2. Just like stage 2, the final CA stage is also divided into 2 groups of 4 subjects, thus making it 8 papers. Irrespective of the stage, each paper is that of 100 marks, whereby a student is required to score a minimum of 40 marks in every paper, and at the same time, students' overall percentage should be more than or equal to 50% marks. Students are eligible to register for the CA Foundation course after they have passed their Standard 10 examination. Online registration is there. Registered students will be getting the books. Students can, along with their studies of class 11 and 12, they can prepare for the CA Foundation examination. I will share the registration link in the description below. Even the students who have not registered can also access the course material of ICAI. With no fee, anyone can download the entire course material. We'll share the registration link in the description below. CA examinations are conducted twice a year, once in May or June and one other in November or December. To appear in May or June examination, student has to submit a CA examination form in February. On the similar lines, to appear in November or December examination, student has to submit their CA examination form in the month of August. The registered students can avail the benefits provided by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India at subsidized fees. Just like your own school organizes pre-board examinations, in the same way, ICAI also organizes mock tests. Registered students can access online courses with no fee. I will mention the link in the description below. ICAI conducts seminars, conferences and conventions for students. Students can deliver their presentations during these events. Apart from this, ICAI organizes different competitions like presentations, debates, quizzes and elocution for students from time to time. Time and time again, various sports and cultural activities are also organized. Now moving further to the syllabus and papers of CA Foundation examination. CA Foundation examination has 4 subjects or papers. Paper 1, Accountancy. Paper 2, Business Laws and Business and Financial Reporting. Paper 3, Mathematics, Statistics and Logical Reasoning. Mathematics includes arithmetic. Paper 4. Business Economics and Business and Commercial Knowledge. The first and second papers are subjective, though some portions can be subjective in the form of multiple choice questionnaire (MCQ) pattern. The third and fourth papers are objective based in form of multiple choice questionnaire. In MCQ, students will have one question with 4 options. In MCQ, students will score 1 mark for every correct answer, and for every incorrect answer, students will be penalized with 0.25 marks, negative marking. If a student has cleared the second stage and completed 3 years of internship, the student is eligible to get an interim qualification of accounting technician. Jobs are available for accounting technicians. CA course mandates every student to pursue 3 years of internship. 3 years of practical training or internship known as articleship is the backbone of the CA course. After qualifying either or both the group of CA intermediate, a CA student can start their articleship. However, before starting of articleship, a CA student undergoes information technology training and soft skills training. Apart from this, during their articleship of 3 years, student again goes an advanced version of ITT and soft skills training. CA course is a very economical course. The total fee structure is around 80,000 only. Even during the period of internship, that is articleship, students are earning a stipend as well. The total stipend over a 3-year period amount to 90,000. In CA and CS courses, there is no reservation. However, for the deserving students, ICAI has started scholarship program. Greetings everyone, welcome to season 2 of the Martiniere Career Fair. Today we will be interviewing an eminent personality in the field of chartered accountancy and company secretaryship. To learn more about this field, watch this podcast till the end. Today with us we have CA Ashish Kapoor, who is a fellow chartered accountant and is serving this esteemed profession since 2004. He is graduate in commerce from University of Lucknow and has done the certificate course of concurrent audit of bank from ICAI in the year 2014. He is also impaneled as a reviewer by the peer review board of ICAI. He has been associated with his firm since 2007 as the managing partner of the firm and has been a key player in mentoring and developing the firm over the years. Other than having a vast experience of auditing large corporates, his core area of specialization lies in the field of representation and litigation service in the area of income tax and Benami Transaction Act. Presently, he heads the direct representation and litigation service vertical of his firm and is based in Lucknow. We are very sure that you're going to learn about the different facets that a career such as chartered accountancy and company secretaryship holds.
It's a pleasure for me being a part of a career fest where, especially for an institution where I have been a part. So I think it's a great opportunity for me to come over and interact and share my experience as a chartered accountant and the opportunities which I see into this profession, which is increasing day by day every year. So I'll be happy to address any question which you have, guys.
Thank you so much. Sir, the first question that I'd like to ask you is that could you please explain the difference between what a chartered accountant is and what a company secretary is, and what is the work and life like of a company secretary and a chartered accountant?
Okay, so let me explain you in such a fashion that understand a chartered accountant and company secretary. 90% the knowledge quotient is same between a chartered accountant and company secretary, but where the difference lies is into the area of practice. A company secretary is primarily concentrating with respect to the corporate laws. So their concentration is more about Companies Act, LLP, FSI. So allied laws is their core area, and they are basically appointed by the companies or their consultancies is sought with respect to corporate law matters and litigations pertaining to them. Whereas a chartered accountant, his core area is primarily auditing and looking into how the financial statements of an organization should be presented so that they meet the global standards and there's a global comparison between the financial statement of various entities. Along with that, over the period of time, chartered accountants have specialized into the field of taxation, especially in the field of direct tax. So primarily, I would say chartered accountant is more of specialist in books of accounts, accounting, costs, and profit analysis of a company, whereas a company secretary is primarily concentrating with respect to the corporate law matters of the company. So their domain area is limited to corporate laws and companies, not very much covering the area of a partnership or an LLP, whereas the CA has a larger ambit in this respect, but both have their own important area of service with respect to corporate law. So this is the primary difference between a chartered accountant and a company secretary. The course content, if you look at it, is primarily almost covering the same. But by the time you start your practice, the specialization areas shifts. One is more of company law and other is more of the accounting, as well as the auditing aspect of the books of accounts and the financial statement made by these corporates. So
thank you, sir, for helping us understand the difference between a company secretary and a chartered accountant.
I will just add one more thing that you were talking about, the work and life of a chartered accountant and a company secretary. See, let me be very honest with you. It's a very dynamic field. It's a very vast field. There's a lot of learning involved, and especially with the change of IT infrastructure, which is happening globally, the role of company secretaries and chartered accountants have increased a lot. So there are a lot more professional opportunities which are constantly growing in these both the areas.
Perfect, sir. Thank you so much. Sir, my question to you is, how and when did your interest in chartered accountancy as a career grow?
So before we started this conversation, I think I was talking to Roman, and he said that his primary intent is to get into some kind of a business. So when I was studying at La Martiniere, and the kind of exposure which we were getting at La Martiniere, I had always aspired to get into some kind of business. So it was always in my mind how to get into a business. And my father is a cardiologist. So we are from, I would say, from a professional background. So understanding the business, the issues of business was very difficult being into a family of professionals. So the best and the closest way for me to get into the field of a business was to get into the profession where you get an opportunity to see the business of others. So that's why I opted to become a chartered accountant, because I knew that this would give me an opportunity to look into the business of various different kind of business communities. And let me be very honest with you, in the last 18 years, I have the privilege of looking into the books of account of listed companies to small traders. And I have learned and I have realized that there are great professional opportunities spread into various sectors. And this profession would be the only way by which I could get into that. And I will add one more story, that when I qualified, I asked my brother-in-law that I want to get into business. He asked me, what kind of business? I said, let me get into real estate, or let me get into some other kind of a business, maybe some automobile dealer, something like that. So he said, do you have a work experience of that? I said, no. And he said, what have you been doing in last 5 years? I said, I've been pursuing my course of chartered accountancy. He said, have you heard about KPMG, EY, PwC, Grant Thornton? I said, yes. What are those? I said, they are top corporates where a lot of people want to get into job and work there. He said, these were small accounting firms which has grown into a global consulting firm. So he said that if you want to get into business, why don't you get into this kind of business? So that aspired me to further look into it and gave me a channelization. Okay, if I want to get into business, CA would be the best stream. And after becoming the CA, getting into practice and trying to develop something in lines with what these big fours have done has been my aspiration, and I would say a thought behind of getting into this profession and trying to aspire and try to reach where they have. I know it's a long journey, but I think initial steps is what is more important to be taken.
Thank you, sir, for helping us understand that. I had a small follow-up to the answer that you just said. So you talked about the fact that you wanted to get into real estate or perhaps a commercial business such as that. However, being a chartered accountant or getting into an industry such as real estate, they're quite different. So how did you realize that you wanted to be a CA rather than go into a stream such as real estate?
See, Ruman, the biggest challenge which any business would have, or any person who wants to get into a startup, is about funding. That's the first challenge which you will always experience. Second is technical know-how. Getting a business, starting a business is something which you and I can do any moment. You pass your class 12th, or the moment you become an adult, you are legally entitled to enter into contract with anybody. But do we have that skill set? How do we acquire that? There are two options. Either we jump into the pool, commit our errors and start learning how to swim. Or we get an opportunity to peep into somebody else's work, learn from their mistakes, review what are their challenges, what are their industrial aspects, and then look into it how if I would have been at the helm of affair, how can I grow into that work? So that is what I would say that was my reason of not getting into the real estate business directly, but trying to first acquire the knowledge about how a real estate industry works, what are their legal compliances, what are their challenges. Once I start up with this work, what will be my challenge before me? How will I ensure that the money which I am creating? See, we have recently heard about this super tech issue, that a building was made and it has been demolished. What are the factors? What are the challenges which can destroy a good industry or a good business? So that you can get to learn only when you are part of these organizations. And coming from a commerce background, my best bet was to get into these industries through qualification of a chartered accountant, so that they integrate me as a part of their finance team, and then I would able to learn not only the financial aspects of the business but the technical aspects of the business. So that is why I opted to be into this field, and I think that is the reason that instead of directly jumping into a real estate business, I have taken a longer route, but has given me a more knowledge of the subject, where I feel that with respect to legal aspects, I will be much more stronger than many other businessmen who are into real estate business today.
So do you believe that being a chartered accountant, it helps you to understand how these different industries work, and then you can perhaps learn more rather than just jumping into one industry? So do you think that is the case, which is why you opted for being a CA first?
Roman, again, I would say that for every business or for any work, so let me put it that way. Why don't we start a school like Martiniere College? What are the challenges of establishing it? What are the minimum requirement of an ISC school to establish? What are the teacher-student ratio? What will be the practical aspect? What will be the salary? Should be the annual rise of a salary? So understanding these things can be done only either you have somebody to guide like Mr. McFarlane who can tell you, okay, these are the things, these are the challenges, please do it this way. Or you start learning. So once you get into it, you understand, okay, I was supposed to have, my legal requirement was this, and if I put that the land should be 22,000 square feet, but you have bought a land 20,000 square feet. So ultimately, once you will apply, you will not get your approval. So understanding the subject. So what I'm trying to put across, either you invest your money and burn them to learn, or you learn and put your money in the right fashion so that you know that what you are putting your money today is being utilized in the best fashion. So either if you have a mentor, somebody to guide you into that industry, jump into the business immediately. Or if you have a unique idea where you think that maybe there are no mentors to it, or there are no guiding factors to it, start up, do it. It might get successful. The probability of success for startups, I would say, is only 3 to 4%. But if you go into the legal aspects, if you understand the business first and then you start working, your probability of success is higher. See, that's what the Japanese believe. They invest more of their time on planning rather than executing. So that's what I'm trying to put across. To understand a business in totality, it is an excellent exposure if you get to see or work with a person who is at a base level, as well as you are able to work with a bigger company who is already structured, have been delivering over the years. So that way you understand that what is the zenith of an organized industry. If I put that real estate, an organized realtor, how is he working, and how is an unorganized person, and what are their challenges? Because they're two different worlds altogether. And then you will also see that the organized sector has certain set of challenges, how to mitigate that. And then once you feel that over a year or 3 or 4 or 5 years, when you've worked into a particular industry, you've understood the challenges, you've understood the uphill task and the downhill task of the industry. And you know what kind of fund is required to get into this industry, how to arrange that fund for that industry. Once you are sure that you will be able to channelize these and you will be able to bind them in a better fashion, that's the time when you should jump into a business. And why I feel that as a chartered accountant, you get an opportunity to get into these business, integrate with them as their legal consultant, as their advisor, as their finance head, as their auditors, so that you get an opportunity to see the entire picture. See, once you are into the finance and accounts, almost every transaction of that organization is exposed and rooted through you. So you get one of the finest learning. And if you constantly have meeting with the management, you start learning the technical side of the business, which is not finance, maybe the engineering side of the business. So that's why I feel that it is an excellent tool to get an exposure, unless you are backed with a family background where business can be taught to you. If business is not being taught to you within your family, and rather than going to a B school, I would say a CA profession would give you a hands-on practical experience of varied business and let you an opportunity to choose what kind of business you should enter, rather than just one thing, that real estate. I can share with you, I have few clients who are into scrap business. And when I saw the kind of how structured a scrap business paper which we discard, the way it is collected, the way this waste is sorted, and the way it reaches to the industry, it's amazing. Then you realize that, okay, and then you see that's a volume game with lesser margins. But if you achieve a certain volume, you have an excellent return on the business. So you get to, instead of becoming a realtor, you could think of getting into a business of scrapping, because the competition there is lesser. So you get to learn two different worlds in this profession.
Perfect, sir. Thank you so much for that answer. Sir, based on that answer, just a continuation that after we have a mentor, we generally even then hear that a lot of people invest a lot of time while preparing for the examinations of chartered accountancy and company secretaryship, and at various occasions they are not successful at all. And is it a general misconception or is it a fact? Because people tend to practice a lot for the CA examinations and thereafter get to no position, making the people think that this is a very risky profession all in all. Therefore, is this a fact or only a misconception of people?
See, Ayan, what you just discussed about, I would say definitely it is, there are certain facts to it and there are certain misconceptions to it. So I'll put that, what is a misconception? That it is an extremely difficult course where if you enter, you will definitely fail. That's a misconception. It is a difficult course, it is an interesting course, but if you are consistent, if you are regular, you will definitely pass. See, what happens, what is the difference between a CA and an engineering or any other course? See, CA has I would say it's an inverted structure of passing. The more people join, the lesser people qualify. Whereas if you look into engineering institute, larger number apply, very few get selected, and those who get selected, almost everybody pass. Whereas in CA, it's a reverse process. Why? Because the course becomes difficult as you move ahead. But the $1 million question is, how many sincere people had joined at the stage one? The institute is very liberal. I would say it's liberal with respect to, okay, if there are 100 people who are applying, they would say let 50% pass through the first stage. Once they reach to stage 2, they would filter it out to, again, they will sort it by 50. They'll say only 30% will move ahead, because sincere people are only 30. Then in finals, I would say another 10% pass out. The reason behind this is it's a 4-year consistent hard work. And at what stage and what age, where others are going to college, you are actually working in a CA office. Maybe at the age of 19, you will be working in a CA office where putting a wrong dot or adding a zero would have a devastating impact on the business of a client. Especially when kids are going to a college. Even if you go for an engineering college, it's a college. It's not a real world. You're not exposed to real world. You are again into a confined campus where the teacher is teaching you certain theories and giving you certain practical exposure. Whereas the moment you qualify your half your CA, which I would say is within 1.5 years of your passing of class 12, you would step into a office of chartered accountant where you get to see the real thing. So morning 10:30 to I would say till 5:30, you are into the real world, working in a real office, working on real figures, real taxation, something which makes the country run. So the taxes which we all pay is the tool by which this economy, the country is running. So what I'm trying to put across, you are exposed to real world at the age of 19.5. Whereas the other course people are still living into a confined area. And then after 10:30 to 5, I would say, you go back, you study. You go back to your books and theory, and there are no regular classes. It's a self-coaching institute. You teach yourself. There are training institutions, there are coaching facilities for that, but then majorly you'll have to study on your own. So that is why the tougher people, I would not say the tough, strong enough. I would not say the strongest. The strong enough are able to pass. Those people who lose track, who get distracted, they don't qualify. See, if you look into the good aspect of a CA profession, what do they expect from us? That you should get an average 50% marks in all your papers and minimum 40 marks as the bare minimum. And definitely the course content is high, the volume is good. But if you are regular, consistently working for next 3 to 4 years, studying 3 to 4 hours, self-study, I would say you can definitely crack your CA. Maybe you will fail once, maybe once or twice. That's fine. That's nothing. We all see. Failure teaches you a lot of things. It gives you you start enjoying success more once you have tasted the I would say the difficult sip of failure. So that's a part of it. But consistent failing is primarily either there's some issue at his home, maybe he's not oriented towards his education. That's the premise. So the misconception, it's too difficult to pass. The fact is, yes, majority fail, and the reason is they're not consistent about their work. So that is the primary distinction. Let me just add one more thing to your knowledge and to the listeners of this podcast is that recently government has come up with a very new concept, that is IIA, that is Indian Institute of Accountancy. So very few people will be aware of this. This is a new bill which has been introduced in 2022 in the parliament, where in line with Indian Institute of Management and IITs. So the government is coming with Indian Institute of Accountancy. It is like I would say an Indian CPA course. So they would have a common entrance examination where you will qualify, and then there will be a 5-year course where you will be given a classroom education. There will be more training on skills, knowledge, subject. You will get industrial trainings. I am not sure what kind of pattern they would have, but it will be very much in line with IIT and IIMs. So those people who will be qualifying from those, again, the entrance exam to IIAs will be very difficult to crack, very similar to IITs and IIMs. But once you are into IIA, you will qualify. So the IIAs in future would be equivalent to a qualification which a chartered accountant has. So this is where I feel that's a misconception about these studies. But the fact is, if you put little effort, definitely success will come. Maybe not at first shot, but definitely in second shot or third shot.
Thank you so much, sir, for that answer. And I would like to request all the listeners of this podcast to also note what sir mentioned in particular about how failure is always there to teach us and how you enjoy success even more once you achieve it after failing. That is what all of us through this podcast with sir are willing to provide to our viewers. I hope everyone makes a note of this. Thank you so much, sir, for that answer.
And one more thing. See, nobody has ever asked me about what was my marks in 10th. Nobody has ever asked me what were my marks in 12th. Nobody has ever asked me that how many attempts did you take to qualify? What was your age when you qualified? What my clients expect from me, that this is a particular challenge. Will you be able to guide me on this? There's a tax notice or there's a income tax notice or GST department notice. Are we legally correct or not? If we are legally correct, can you represent us and win this case for us? And if you are able to deliver results, nobody will turn the pages to assess what were your percentage marks. What is more important? How good quality and honest service you are able to deliver to your client, because of which he gains. Because if he gains, he will value more. So that's what Ayan has just taught to all of us. So we really need to remember this throughout our life.
Thank you so much, sir. Based on the factors which you've mentioned, we always need to believe on quality over the quantity, be it anyways. Thank you so much, sir. Roman, go ahead.
Thank you, sir, for that. It's great that we're not only getting to learn about chartered accountancy as a career, but about life failures and how to go about dealing with them. So thank you so much, sir, for your answer. I'd also like to ask you, since you mentioned about the fact that courses are difficult, I'd also like to know what kind of courses are available. Like, we only know that, okay, you have to crack an examination for chartered accountancy and then that's it. Are there different avenues to it, and how do you go about it? What are the different streams that a person could opt for? And a high school student perhaps who's starting, how should they go about preparing for being a chartered accountant?
See, let me be very honest with you with respect to this question. There are 2-3 things which we need to keep in mind. One has to understand what does a chartered accountant do. I take a lot of sessions with respect to CA, qualified CAs, and when I ask them, okay, you've become a CA, what do you want to do now? So primarily their answer is, sir, if I get a salary rupees 1 lakh rupees per month, that is what I'm aspiring for. So I keep telling them, getting a minimum salary of 1 lakh rupee per month should not be a benchmark of getting into a job. You have to understand, what area do you want to get into it? Do you want to become a taxation expert? If taxation expert, do you want to get into direct tax or indirect tax? Do you want to get into equity market? See, if you go for any portfolio managers, if you look into their qualifications, you will find them, they are chartered accountants. 99.9% you will find them, they are chartered accountants. Why? Because we will understand this industry the best. Recently, our country on 15th August lost a great person like Mr. Rakesh Jhunjhunwala. You guys must have heard about him. He's a chartered accountant. He reached Mumbai with 5,000 rupees in his pocket. And when he left this, this world, he had 21,000 crores with him. So that is what this profession can give you if you understand this business very well. So what I'm trying to put across, as a CA, you first have to understand what are the avenues, where do you really want yourself to be, where do you see yourself? You want to go for a global practice, you want to be out of India. Again, this profession is one of the finest things. As a student, you will have to look into what are the kind of subjects which are there in the CA curriculum and what will help you. So a lot of time I see people say, I want to drop mathematics. I would say you can definitely drop it because it is only with respect to foundation. But please understand, once you will be going for the, after 12th, your first examination for CA will be your foundation examination. And one of the paper there is business mathematics. So I strongly recommend to all the students that at least till class 10th, please do have mathematics. If possible, if you are comfortable enough, do try to take mathematics, if not pure mathematics, at least business mathematics till class 12. Because generally it's 10th mathematics, which is the minimum standard which they expect for the foundation examination. So one subject which I would strongly suggest should be there at least till class 10th is mathematics. And if possible, till class 12th, please do carry your business mathematics, if not pure mathematics. Secondly, if you have the options of choosing subjects like economics, or you have certain law subjects like you have commerce, okay, business laws. If you have these kind of subjects in class 11 and 12, please do take that. Next, one topic which I would strongly suggest you should be working on it is computers. I am not saying about programming, but as much as high exposure you have on with respect to computers. See, let us understand, we have entered into a digital era. The accounting process, the systems, the software, everything is software driven. You need to be hands-on with lot of systems and lot of system driven activities. You need to be conversant with lot more softwares. So if you have a basic level good knowledge of a computer, you will be able to perform better into this profession. Because I'll tell you, there's another upcoming career where I would say that we are also trying to diversify into this, is forensic accounting. Recently we have been engaged by CBI. I'm being very true to you. Last week only we have been engaged by CBI for undertaking an assignment where 200 bank accounts were opened by a particular concern. I can't name that concern, in which 2 lakh deposits were parked in. We have to identify that who are the true beneficiaries to it, whose money has flown in, to whom it has traveled, and the money has looped over many bank accounts. So you need to have an excellent skill set of Excel, maybe other softwares which can help you. There will be a lot of tools. See, why I'm saying having a good knowledge of computer, because see, this industry is also diversifying. You can be a great asset with respect to working with IT companies, whereby they need to build structures for large corporates so that their finance and accounts are also on the same platform. So the IT guy understands the coding aspect, but he fails to understand the legal aspects, or he fails to understand at times, or he needs assistance at what kind of structure, what kind of system should be placed. So you play a lovely bridge between the corporate as well as between the IT guy to develop a good architecture of a good software. So that's another great field which I see. So if you can carry your computers with yourself till class 12th also, I believe that will be a great help to you into shaping your career ahead. So these are the subjects which I feel one should have in class 10th and 12th.
That's great to know, sir. People who want to pursue this as a career in future and are not very good with maths, do you have any suggestion or recommendations for those students?
See, I'll tell you, with age, you be mature. If you ask me, I also feel that I was not very good in mathematics till class 10th. Though I had pure mathematics in class 11th and 12th, and I was able to do well. But let me be very honest with you, if you want to go into CA profession, there are two ways of getting into. One is the direct entry through foundation. Another is after completion of your graduation. So the longer route is graduation. I would strongly say that they test you till class 10th level mathematics. And once you are in class 12th, let me be very honest with you, your confidence, your ability to go back and study the mathematics of class 9th and 10th would be very, very easy. It's business mathematics, it's not pure mathematics. So it is something which you will be using. Let me be very honest with you. 5 years down the line or 10 years down the line, you will be seeing I'm using these kind of things. Okay, if I buy so many apple, if I sell it for this, what is the profit? You will be doing it every day in your life. So it is not that you maybe at that age you were not prepared to understand that. Maybe the maturity was not reached. But give it a shot. Once you reach class 12th and you start your CA career, don't feel scared with the word mathematics. Look at that it is business mathematics. It's something 2 + 2 4. How to determine profits. Look from that angle, it will look easier and you will be able to do it with, and what is the requirement? Minimum 40 marks with an average 50. I think this will be able to see the pressure arises when you have to score 99.9999%. Because Sharma ji ke bete ke 99.98 aa gaye the. So that's a bigger challenge in life. So here the challenge is simple. Get 40, qualify. It's not what we can't do it. Definitely all of us will be able to do it. And in case somebody still feels that it's a bigger challenge, still wants to go for CA profession, then instead of coming through a direct route, he should complete his graduation and then enter into this stream. That way he will not be required to appear for a business mathematics paper. But then his process would definitely get delayed by a period of, I would say, 2 years. 2 to 2.5 years. But yes, if you have an aspiration, this is the second route which they can opt for.
All right, sir. Thank you so much. Another question which I have, sir, is what are the major skills that one must own in order to become a chartered accountant and a company secretary of the highest order?
See, first skill set, I would say specialization. See, where I would say this profession is moving towards on a consistent basis. See, this profession, I would say technically accounting has been from the day, I would say the first apple fell. But let me be very honest with you, the thought process has evolved over the period of time. Earlier, chartered accountants were considered to be jack of all trade, whether it's company law, anything, finance, accounts, GST, PF, ECS, you name the law and chartered accountants were ready to serve you for that. But what has started evolving over the period of time is specialization. So now, just in very similar to doctors as well as lawyers, CAs have also started specialization into core areas. So you will find chartered accountants say, sir, I only know income tax. Please don't ask me any question on GST. Don't ask me anything about how a company law matter will be dealt. I am not a specialist of that. I might be aware of it, but I'm not updated on it to the T. But if you ask me anything pertaining to taxation, that's my core. I know more than the tax authorities. And that is what our role is. And actually we do. I'm being very candid to it. When we go and argue a case before a tax authority, we know that we know more than them. That is why we are here. We are trying to tell them, you see, this is the intent of law. This is what is written. This is what you should follow. And in case he doesn't agree, we know that we will go to superior authority and we will win this case and come back. So what the first most important thing, if you want to be at the highest order, that you have to become a specialist over a period of time. You have to choose a core field and then try to further specialize into it. So I was talking about taxation. Then I know people who have further gone ahead and either specialized into the trust matters or they have specialized into international taxation. Okay, so you need to specialize and then move towards super specialization. Second and the most important thing is, you talked about skill. See, skill of communication, whether verbal or written, is utmost required. I am definitely not saying that it should be English or it should be Hindi. Whatever medium of communication you are using, it should be appropriate, comprehensible by the other, and one has to learn to, I would say, communicate to the other with as less words as possible, but as clear as possible. So communication is definitely one of the key skills which is required, and specialization into a particular stream is what will make you grow as a fine chartered accountant.
Thank you, sir, for helping us understand the importance of specialization, super specialization, and soft skills such as communication. What role do they play? I'd also like to know, since the demand for CAs and CS, company secretaries, is also growing a lot due to multiple startups, multiple government policies which have been enacted. However, there are multiple CAs and CS who are still unemployed. So what do you think is the reason between this misalliance and opportunities between CAs and CS?
See, Roman, you are very right. I'll explain to you a lot of time when I have this conversation with many chartered accountants. See, even we see there's a wide, and why only, I would say, CS. You look into lawyers. You see certain lawyers who are driving a Mercedes. You see certain lawyers who are still riding a bicycle, or they're traveling by tempos. Why? Why is this disparity? See, the primary reason of this disparity, or I would say employment and unemployment, is skill factor. Second, the reason is misconception in our mind. What is in our mind? Okay, we all are chartered accountants, so we are equal. Our qualification is equal, but our skill set and knowledge is not equal. I meet chartered accountants in Delhi, Bombay. A lot of time I see that either I find them that, okay, our knowledge is equivalent, or I feel that my knowledge is superior. And at times I feel I meet people, I feel that they're so superbly skilled. If you look into it, we all are chartered accountant. A is also a chartered accountant, B is also chartered accountant, C is also a chartered accountant. But the C is the one who is highly skilled into that area. So he has a right to demand higher fees. Similarly, going back to the client's mentality. See, client will pay you or will hire you only if he sees the super skills or he sees the skill which he needs. If you are giving him certain services which anybody else can deliver, then why should he value you? He will engage anybody because you are competing with masses. So I keep telling a lot of among my CA fraternity, you see, our work as a practicing chartered accountant is more about fishing. If you will fish near the seashore, you will have lot of fishes, but they are small in size. You will have to throw your net to catch them. You'll have to pull them. You'll have to put a lot of effort, and you realize, okay, I got 100 fishes. But once you weigh them, it is maybe 10 kgs. That's it. So entire day you were able to fish 10 kgs. The other person swims a little deeper, and he is able to get hold of only 10 fishes, but they weigh 12 kgs. And the other person swims further deep, and in the process he realized that he is losing those 100 fishes which he used to get. And now he is getting only here 12, which was he was happy. But then he realized even those 12 are lost, or he just has 6 kgs of fishes. But then he's able to fish the whale. So you have to understand where you are standing. What is your skill set? If you are not able to scale it up, the demand is definitely there, but the payout will not be as high as compared to the other. Now, what is an issue comes to my mind? Okay, if Mr. X is getting paid, let me say 5 lakh rupees a month, I should be paid at least 3 lakh rupees a month. But whereas the person who's hiring you, he feels that you are not more than 1.5 lakh rupees. So there will be a dissatisfaction. The client will move out. The client will say, sorry, I can't afford. Why should I pay you 3 lakhs? If I want to pay 3 lakhs, I'll get somebody who is much more superiorly skilled. So if we want to get more skilled, more paid, we need to keep enhancing our skill set and keep moving to such clients who are ready to pay for our fees, whether it's a job or whether it's practice. So that's how this scalability comes, and that is the primary reason that you do see a lot of chartered accountants, or I would say few of the chartered accountants at the base level. And the primary reason of not growing, that they are not investing on themselves in terms of knowledge, in terms of skills to grow further into this profession.
So thank you so much for helping us understand this with such an amazing analogy. I'd also like to ask, apart from the conventional academic qualifications or perhaps conventional skill sets which CAs usually have, or which excellent top of the notch CAs do have, are there any other things that a beginner, a person who just got into the chartered accountancy field can do to get themselves at a higher advantageous level?
See, I'll tell you, one has to understand two things, that once he qualifies, what does he want to do? Does he want to get into a job, or does he want to start with a practice? See, I'll speak for both the aspects. So if you want to get into job, I would say definitely after completing CA, you should pursue more qualifications. For example, I have few of my friends who did their MBAs after completing CA. They got an excellent break into various industries. Some of them has become investment bankers and have grown beautifully well into their profession. So one has to understand that if you have to keep enhancing your skill set. So just by doing chartered accountancy course, if you feel that you are prepared for a corporate world, maybe you will be able to reach as a CFO. But if you want to be the CEO, if you want to be the managing director of a company, then definitely you should keep pursuing more courses. For example, I know, if I put it that way, have you heard about the name of Mr. Harish Salve? He's an advocate.
Sir, I don't recall that correctly.
Okay. So he is one of the topmost advocate of India. He represented India into the global court also. So he is also chartered accountant by profession, and then he moved towards the profession of law. See, there are a list of chartered accountants who have become high court judges, who pursued law and have. See, if you look into the law profession, you will see very few of them venture into the field of taxation. But if you have done if you are CA and then you enter into the profession of law, you tend to grow better and faster especially with respect to these law like income tax, GST, corporate law, because you have a better understanding of the accounting systems of the organization. So I'm saying post-qualification as a CA, you can pursue your LLB and you can definitely grow as a great advocate also. Like we have Mr. Harish Salve. So there are various such people. Similarly, when I talk about practice, one has to understand that just because you have become chartered accountant, you should open your own firm. Maybe you can do it, but I would strongly recommend people that you should first get a hands-on experience, work with some good CA firms for a period of 2 years, 3 years, then try to work with some big consulting firm like KPMG, EY, PwC, and then he or she should take a calculative decision that time has reached where he or she should start up with his own venture, or if he feels that he can integrate with another existing CA firms where they can grow faster, then he can take that route also. So that's why I'm saying that post-qualification is equally important. Just by becoming chartered accountant, if you think that you will be able to succeed into this career, the path will be longer and difficult. Success will definitely come, that will be longer and difficult. So that's my viewpoint onto it.
Thank you so much, sir, for clarifying that. Also, it's great to know that law is closely intertwined with the CA, with chartered accountancy. I'd also like to know what are some other avenues which are closely connected with or linked to chartered accountancy, and is the corporate world much more closely related?
See, again, what I said that I'll share you a personal experience. 6 months back, I had gone to Guwahati for there was certain professional work for which I had gone there. So I met a chartered accountant who practiced for 20 years, and then he diversified into education as well as into real estate. And a span of 15 years, so he has been into work for the last 35 years. He is one of the topmost educationists as well as the realtor of Guwahati. So when I met him, I was highly impressed and asked him, sir, how did you diversify? The only thing which he said, Mr. Kapoor, this profession gives us so many opportunities to diversify. We know how a fund can be raised. We know how the approvals have to be obtained. We know how to represent ourselves before the government authorities. So if we decide to get into the business, we could be the best business leaders because we have worked in a CA firm, or he said that I started with my own firm when we were only 2 people, and when I left my practice, we were around 60 people. So I have learned the journey from how to grow from an unorganized sector to an organized. So these learning helped me grow my business within a span of 15 years. So that's what I'm saying, trying to put across. Definitely, if you look from the business perspective, this is an excellent tool to learn and grow. Once I talk about practice, see, there's a huge avenues. Every day, the government is bringing new laws, new stringent systems to make the compliance more transparent. I would not see we are definitely, people are shouting that law is becoming stricter. Definitely it's becoming stricter. It's not about stricter. It was too easy for people to evade money. Now they're trying to put checks and balances to it, and they are getting strict with chartered accountants also. If tomorrow there's a wrong certification, they are also being pulled up for that. They are being, I would say, prosecuted for that. And that's right, because there's a certain responsibility casted on us. If tomorrow I see do an audit and I see there's a misrepresentation or there's a fraud, it's my professional duty to report to the concerned authorities. That is what we are being appointed for. So if you look from that perspective, the role is constantly increasing for chartered accountants. Recently, I would say in 2017 budget, the government said that we want to reach to a 5 trillion economy, and in next 5 years we want to be a 10 trillion economy. See, if the government really wants to do it, and they are moving towards this, if the economy is growing, the profession of chartered accountancy will grow in the same profession. The demand for CAs to manage large business will increase many-fold. In fact, if you see the CA results over the last 3-4 years, it is actually very high. A lot of people say there'll be unemployment. Why are you making so many people pass? My viewpoint, it's an excellent move, because what they are trying to do, they are trying to see that the economy is increasing, the demand is increasing, and they have to provide chartered accountants. Now, what is more important from the institute perspective, that what people who are qualifying, they should be more skilled and trained. And probably that is why this concept of IIA has come into play, Indian Institute of Accountancy, because they want that now they will come up with, and that's what they said in the parliament, that we want an institute equivalent, and mark my word, the word they use, equivalent to IITs and IIM. We would like to have an Indian Institute of Accountancy whereby we are able to create chartered accountants to the global standards. So they want an institute where they are trained for 5 years how to be prepared for corporate world. So I see huge opportunities moving ahead, and I think in maybe 2 years or 3 years, we will have our first Indian Institute of Accountancy, though it's a challenge to the Institute of Chartered Accountancy. But if you look from the economy perspective, if you look from the students' perspective, I would say it's a beautiful move, because people who will be qualifying here, probably they would be addressed as Indian CPAs, and there'll be more global acceptance, and global alliances which will be happening. So I see huge opportunities flowing into this profession. The demand is increasing, but again, the baseline which I would like to say, see, it is very, very important how you keep growing your skills. I have my friends who have grown to a level of CFOs. I know a few of my seniors who have actually grown to be managing directors to a large corporate like Reliance also. And they're CAs. And the reason they have grown into that field that they have been constantly upgrading their knowledge, and they did not confine themselves only to finance and accounts, but they became part of the internal control systems, the process designing, the technology aspect, because they were conversant with the IT systems. So they realized that, okay, if a CA who is the managing director, he understands the IT, he understands the finance and account, which is the backbone of every organization. He understands the HR aspects of the organization, because he understands what payouts will make a person work, what incentive system should be designed in which fashion, so that we have more productivity. So they feel that, okay, if you have the capacity to lead also a larger team, maybe you are the best cut out to be managing director of the company. So I personally feel that it's a huge opportunities for CAs down the line. So that's my take on to it, Roman.
Thank you so much, sir, for all the information. Now coming on to the final question today, sir.
Okay.
Sir, it is the final question. Like, do you have any words of advice for the aspiring chartered accountants and company secretaries? And what are the challenges which they might face along the way? And how do they tackle them on their way of success?
See, I would share with you a challenge which was always there in my mind. So when I qualified, I wanted to be successful. I'm still on the path trying to achieve success. So I wanted to be successful within 3 years. So I thought maybe I become a chartered accountant, next 3 years I'll be able to achieve these parameters, these financial parameters. So first thing which I like to tell you, it is not the financial growth which you should be aspiring for. It should be the knowledge growth which you should be aspiring for. The more you study about your subject, the more you deliver to the world about your knowledge, the more you will do these kind of public presentations. There'll be more acceptance of the people towards of you as a chartered accountant, and you will grow faster and better. So it is not the financial growth which you should be aspiring. It is the knowledge growth which you should be aspiring. Secondly, when you are growing into this path, please don't forget the path of humbleness. See, there's a client who determines how good or how bad we are. We are dealing with tax authorities. We have to understand that there's a way of putting our viewpoints to them. They are the people who talk about us behind our back and tell to the world what we are. We don't get an opportunity. We are not allowed to even advertise anywhere. We can't put a board that, okay, I've done so many cases, I've been so successful, so I should be contacted. No, you can't do that. So who spreads a word for you? It is only people to whom you have given an excellent service. Understand, we are into a service industry. We have to deliver every day. We have to be balanced. We have to value our time and value the time of the clients also. So if you are able to manage these things, definitely you will grow. But success takes time. It's a profession. It's not a business which can be built overnight, where maybe you have a product which is highly in demand and tomorrow you are selling. It is you who is the product. You have to refine yourself. You have to grow over a period of time. If I see myself 10 years back, I see myself as extremely raw. And I'm sure 10 years ahead, when I will see myself, I will still feel that today what I am, I'm still raw. So please understand, we are all work in progress. We have to constantly work on ourselves and compete only with ourselves. Get inspired by others. But please do not get depressed, jealous, or hasty seeing the success of others. You should get inspired that, okay, he has done so well. What was his factor? Let me study that. Let me understand that. Let me see, can I do that? Or if I will do I have to stretch myself too much? No, then I'll stretch myself in small portions. I have to first compete with myself. And once I am able to break my benchmarks, slowly and steadily, you would also reach to a point where the other has reached. So that is the mantra I would say is required to be successful in the professional chartered accountancy.
Thank you so much, sir, for that. It was a pleasure to talk to you. Hope to talk to you again soon. Thank you.